Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 122 of the Ron and Brian podcast. I'm Ron, as always, joined by the man who is the new founder, president, and CEO of the hottest social movement these days, Fleshlights Matter. Brian, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Splendid. It is Thursday. It is the beginnings of that period of time where we say goodbye to the summer. We say hello to fall. We embrace the gradual cooling of the northern hemisphere. I think I'm doing all right. I mean,
Was it gradual up there? Because it got cold pretty quick down here.
Well, it really depends on how you want to look at it. I blame it on the smoke from the fires in California that are blocking the sun's rays from reaching the earth. Some people sit there and say that it's just the natural, gradual angling of the earth away from the sun.
Agree to disagree. I don't think science even knows.
What is science anymore?
Nothing. It is nothing. But one thing that is definite, Brian, we're going to drink tonight.
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the week. Pleasure.
Who's? Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the
All right,
week.
my friend. As always, we will start with you. What did you bring to the table to drink this week? Looks like a classic.
Jack and Ginger. I went slow and low, down and dirty.
Nice. And how is it? I mean, is it hitting you just right?
It's exactly what I wanted. I wanted something sweet with a little bit of a kick.
All
When
right.
I say a little bit of a kick, I mean it's half Jack Daniels, half ginger ale.
It's going to be another good After Dark episode. Just a reminder to those folks out there, we do provide extra content to our Patreon subscribers after this broadcast every Thursday night. Just go to ronandbrianpodcast.com, upper right-hand corner of the website. You see the link to become a patron and get that extra content if you're bronze or higher or silver or higher. One of those.
Silver.
$10.
No, bronze. Bronze or higher. The first one is aluminum.
Oh,
Aluminum is the $5 a month. There you get basically simply audio content. But if you are silver or higher, then not only do you get to rewatch the After Dark at your convenience, but you are also receiving on a weekly basis a link to our private YouTube channel where you are able to watch live, just like you're doing here, except that's where we get a little risque. That's why
All
we
right.
call it After Dark. And that's why Ron is trying to get me. Shut up.
Anyway,
Hey, Ron,
yes.
what are you drinking?
So I went back to, our friends at Broken Goblet. I have not had them on the show in a while, but this is from their pastry stout series, Wasteland Wanderer, they put out earlier this year. This is their mint chocolate chip stout. So basically mint, chocolate, lactose, clocking in at about a 6.3%. I've had this before. It is absolutely delicious. So that I'll get a good couple of
Can
beers.
I see a color of that again?
You can. It's got...
That looked handsome.
yes.
Mm.
Good. I'm telling you, the guys at Broken Goblet don't screw around.
And also, gals, let's not
Yeah.
just be gender centric and say that only males work at a brewery in eastern Pennsylvania.
It's all the folks then at Broken Goblet that do the great job.
And also, I want to just say, speaking of the people of Broken Goblet, despite the pandemic, they are putting all their efforts into a socially distanced Hoppy Halloween 8 coming up this year in October. Next month, they are waiting to announce the date of when it's going to be.
They actually canceled it.
What?
They canceled it a while back. They're just doing T-shirts and hoodies with the artwork. Sorry. But remember, you could have been at Hoppy Halloween last year, but you didn't check your calendar, and you screwed us over.
And I saw the Misfits, Rancid, and the Damned at Madison Square Garden.
Listen.
Ron, I would do it again.
All right.
All over in a heartbeat.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. But yes, unfortunately, they have not figured out a way to do Hoppy Halloween this year, but just unleash some great artwork that they're going to have on their T-shirts and hoodies. So they are going to be putting that out for sale shortly. If you want to check it out, check out their Facebook page, Broken Goblet Brewing.
You know what they should do? They should do Hoppy Halloween where people show up to the brewery in advance, buy Broken Goblet beer, and then pick a day where everybody gets dressed up in Halloween costumes in their backyards, hiding from the spotted lantern flies.
Flies, yes.
Damn it, I was fucking close. And then hang out in their backyards, drinking Broken Goblet, and everybody can stream.
All right. Maybe we bounce that off them, see what they think.
I'm not even I'm not looking for a taste on that.
No,
I just throwing that idea out.
So, Brian, I hope you don't mind. I kind of intimated that I wasn't going to let you do any sponsors this week, regardless of what legwork you may have done. We did a little trade out for this week, so I'm not necessarily a sponsor, but we do have a promo to play for new friends of the podcast. It's a new podcast called the Itslist Podcast. Let's hear about them.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the hottest new podcast to ever grace the airwaves.
The Itslist.
A one-stop shop for all things pop culture. Movies. Brokeback Mountain was made by a bunch of homophobes.
Music.
Lady A can sling it.
Sports.
Emmett couldn't hold Barry's jockstrap. Food. Mom's French toast.
Travel. I think I'd go with the Bellagio.
4 guys from different walks of life offering their own nominees in any given topic in an attempt to concoct a perfect top 5 list. Fathead Joel. This is combined Dave Coulier and Robert Goulet.
I did.
Mark the Cop.
You're sitting there like you, Joel, hitting the bong and doing terrible things to your dog with a fork.
Mikey No Name. I'm sorry, I thought I was in a room with smart people. I guess I'm not.
Beerly Kyle.
That sound of that beer.
I just went from 6 to midnight. The Itslist Podcast.
Available now on all major platforms.
TheItlistPodcast.com.
Check it out.
All right, new friends at the Itslist Podcast, check them out wherever fine quality podcasts are sold.
I checked it out. I listened to it earlier this week, Ron, and one of the things that I found really interesting is how the dynamic between the 4 of them, they are able to carry the podcast without talking over each other, and that's something that I have yet to figure out how.
I'm also impressed. Each of them have a good nickname, whereas you and I, 2 years in, neither has a good nickname. So we need to work on that.
Okay,
we think we can be on the Itslist. We are definitely opinionated. We'd love to help them come up with a top 5 list.
Could they do it with 6 people?
I mean, maybe they extend it to a top 10 list at that point. You don't know.
Okay, it works.
Anyway, folks, if you're friends of the Ron and Brian podcast, make sure you check out the Itslist Podcast.
And you can find them where, Ron?
Well, I believe it was the itlistpodcast.com, and you can find them wherever you find your podcasts.
There you go.
All right, you got that? You got it covered now, my friend?
All good.
All right. In the meantime, let's get to This Week in Racism.
Racism.
Way too much racism. Yet again, not very shocking. So let's get right into it. Coming right close to home where I am here in New Hope, Pennsylvania, Fred's Breakfast Club has drawn backlash after a racist sign on their wall went viral this week. The sign reads, quote, "This morning I went to sign my dogs up for welfare. At first the lady said dogs aren't eligible to draw welfare. Then I explained to her that my dogs are mixed in color, unemployed, can't speak English, and have no clue who their daddies are. They expect me to feed them, provide them with housing, medical care, and feel guilty because they are dogs. So she looked in her policy book to see what it takes to qualify. My dogs get their first checks on Friday. Damn, this is a great country." Just let that soak in for a second. When one of their members reached out to them on Facebook to voice their dissatisfaction, the restaurant responded that the customer was the racist one and they should just get over it and have some pancakes. I guess that's maybe a good philosophy to have if you're racist. Going down to Clayton County, Georgia, a sheriff's deputy was fired after being caught on video repeatedly punching a black man that was pinned to the ground. Roderick Walker was a passenger in a car that had been pulled over for a broken taillight. Deputies got upset after demanding his ID, then ordering him out of the car when he asked why he needed to show ID when he wasn't the one driving. The deputies then pinned him to the ground, with one of them beating him. The deputy has not been named publicly, and the DA's office has opened a criminal investigation into the incident.
Smart.
Up in Warren, Michigan, a reward has been put out for information on a series of alleged hate crimes against the black family. There have been 3 incidents at the home of the Hall family. Twice, someone has fired shots at the home, and a rock has been thrown through the front window of the house, with tires slashed on 3 cars and offensive writing on one of them. The police commissioner feels the home was targeted due to the Black Lives Matter sign in their front yard. Pictures the family posted on Facebook show that the words terrorist, Black Lives Matter, get the fuck out, and not welcome with a swastika was written on their pickup truck. Let's see. Going overseas, we've got some overseas racism this week, Brian. Over in
Whoa.
What?
We don't do international racism. We only do American.
Every now and then, we're going to throw a little international racism in. So we've got South Africa shops are pulling Theresa May products off of their shelves after widespread protest over an online ad denigrating black hair. The ad showed 4 different images of hair. The first 2 featured black women labeling their hair as frizzy and dull and dry and damaged, while the other 2 showed white hair labeled as fine and flat and normal. Unilever, which owns the Theresa May brand, acknowledged the ad played into racist stereotypes about black hair. The director of the campaign has left the company, and they are conducting an internal investigation that could result in more disciplinary action. Down in Houston, Texas, a white woman called the police on a black census taker for the crime of standing in front of her neighbor's house. The man, who goes under the name Zeke Bobby on Instagram, videoed the woman as she questioned him and told him he had to leave. She then called the police and falsely stated that he was walking towards her in a threatening manner. After police arrived, the woman refused to open her door so they could talk to her. Up near you, Brian, Queens, New York, a white woman hurled a bottle and a racial slur at a black jogger last month in a new video released this week by the police. After throwing the bottle, the woman yelled, "Get out of here, N-word, go back to Africa." The victim was not injured and continued to jog away. The NYPD's Hate Crime Task Force is investigating and is asking for the public's help in identifying the woman in the video. Staying in New York New York City, Verizon is asking the public to help them identify a woman who assaulted an employee and shouted a racial slur after refusing to wear a mask in one of their stores on the Upper East Side last week. A customer took a video of the incident, which I believe we have available right here.
This is not your fucking shit. Away from me, bitch. Do not grab my fucking hand. I did not touch you. Yes, you fucking did. You can get out. Get the fucking thing.
Oh!
You need to get out.
You need to get out. You go fuck yourself. You fucking ugly hoe.
No one's ugly hoe.
Actually, yeah, you are. I have to get my fucking money. So I'm not walking around a goddamn fucking city without data. You piece of shit. You're not only fucking breaking contracts, you're enforcing illegal laws, and you don't fucking tell me what to do, and you don't grab my fucking hand. You fucking fat ugly nigger.
You're not making me walk around this city with no data.
What I love is the fact that, like, wearing a mask, they say it's an illegal law.
Well,
I love that.
All these people who probably aren't high school graduates are very well versed on the law and the Constitution these days.
Yeah.
So anyway, the employee was taken to New York Presbyterian Hospital with minor injuries. No arrests have been made yet, but an investigation is ongoing. Verizon has stated that once this woman is identified, she will be banned from all of their stores for life, and they will, quote, terminate her ability to do business with them. Which I would like to see. If these racists get kicked doing business with companies,
knock her out.
Yeah, get them the fuck out. And we have a couple of stories on Racism Rewind this week.
Racism Rewind.
Earlier this year, we had reported about a black doctor in Colorado that had been held at gunpoint in his own driveway by a member of the Aurora Police Department. Dr. P.J. Palmer had lodged a complaint at the time, feeling that the incident was racially motivated. The police department has now sent Palmer a letter informing him that the officer was suspended for 40 hours and also ordered to receive additional training. Oh.
What's the additional training? Don't do that.
Maybe not.
Bad boy.
Yeah, maybe don't automatically pull your gun on people that are darker hue than you. Also on the rewind, we're going back to Rochester. We had talked about the story of Daniel Prude a week or so ago. Well, now Rochester City Records confirm that a coordinated police effort to cover up the death of Daniel Prude happened. Dozens of internal documents reveal an array of delay tactics meant to prevent attention being brought to his death and to implicate him in his own killing. In a June 4th email exchange, a deputy police chief advised then police chief LaRon Singletary to not release body camera footage to the Prude's family lawyer, to which Singletary responded, "I totally agree." A police report about the confrontation had Prude listed simply as an individual under victim type, but another officer circled the word in red and wrote, "Make him a suspect." There's a bunch of other stuff. There was actually a very good article on the New York Times, kind of dives deeper into that. So check it out. Again, I think Rochester, New York, kind of a group of horrible people. And we kind of know this when you get into your upstate and central New York, that a lot of racists up there.
Where is Rochester?
Rochester is, it's kind of if you're like about an hour and a half west of Syracuse, not quite Buffalo.
Oh wow,
hour and a half
up there.
Yeah, east of Buffalo. But yes,
that's not even New York anymore, correct?
I mean, you are getting close to Canada.
Okay, I consider Westchester and Rockland Westchester and Rockland is where New York ends.
Yeah, no, I know how you feel, you downstate people. I get it.
I love watching you drink lactose.
I love me some lactose. I'm very fortunate to not be lactose intolerant.
No, you absolutely love lactose in your beer.
I do. I just can't help it. Are you ready?
Ron?
Yeah.
What's wrong with your week?
What's wrong with my week? I don't know, man. Do you think we should talk about maybe beefs of the week? Should I play the theme?
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you?
This is going to be uncomfortable.
All right. I love uncomfortable.
Especially
when you are uncomfortable and not me.
Oh, no. I'm comfortable. I'm afraid
Okay.
you're not going to be.
All right.
Because my beef is with my podcast partner.
Really? With
and
me?
I'm afraid...
This podcast right here.
I'm afraid you're going to personalize this, and you absolutely shouldn't. Because it has nothing to do with you
Personalize
personally.
it?
I think you're going to sit there and be like, he's mad at me.
Okay. My friend.
I think it's a pretty standard piece of knowledge in the podcasting world that copyright infractions are to be avoided at all costs. That the content you're putting out should be original content, not something
licensed, legal. I get it.
Okay. We had an incident last week on the After Dark, which our Patreon subscribers are well aware. I don't know if you follow the chat room over on the Patreon, but it was heated for the last week. A lot of our Patreons were upset over something. No, it wasn't enraged. It was disappointment. It was concern. It was, is this who we are as a podcast? You, in the middle of our After Dark last week, decided that you were going to pirate Sir Mix-a-Lot's song, "Put 'Em on the Glass,"
I wouldn't
And
call it piracy, nonetheless. I wouldn't say that.
this
YouTube, however, disagreed.
YouTube cut our shit off within seconds. And it caused a big disruption.
You did?
Our Patreons were they were upset because our live feed was cut off. They didn't know where to go, what to do. I tried to look at you, and you seemed to be uncaring. Uncaring is the word. And that is my beef. My beef is that at this stage, 122 episodes in, you are still deciding that you should be able to just flaunt the fact that you do not have to subscribe to copyrighted international laws, and that's not right. And I want
as Billy astutely points out, I shouldn't have put the video on the glass.
No, you absolutely should not have. And I want to make sure that moving forward, that we walk up to the line, we toe the line, we might do a line, but we never cross the line.
I'm not upset with you at pointing that out. That was an error on my part. Yeah. So then I guess maybe my beef is with my podcast partner, who, while I am over here running the StreamYard and pulling up comments and banners, and these sound effects don't play themselves.
Nice.
That's right. Someone has to sit over here and play those. I've got art. I've got another laptop here with articles. I've got notes. I've got I've got papers. And in the meantime, someone else on this podcast can sit on his high horse, apparently, drinking a beverage and pointing out what other people do wrong. So, it's a good way. It's a good way to live.
I'm not pointing out what other people do wrong. I'm pointing out what you did wrong and how it affected me.
No, that is fine. That is fine. Okay. Well, I think we've both aired our beefs, and we will discuss this moving forward next week on the Ron podcast. I couldn't do that, my friend.
I absolutely hate the fact that you will always, you will just taunt me with your 51% ownership of this podcast. You can drop me at any moment.
In your face.
It bothers me. It genuinely hurts me.
So here's a good comment from Janelle. I wish Facebook would remove racist assholes as quick as YouTube kicked you guys off. That kind of leads into our next topic here, Brian, the docudrama that we both watched on Netflix this past week, called The Social Dilemma, talking about how social media has kind of, I guess for lack of a better words, gotten out of control of the people that created it. And it very potentially is going to end society as we know it.
Now, Ron, you downloaded some clips from the documentary that's on Netflix, so we could play some of the clips from it. Do you want to play a couple now?
We didn't get clearance on those, so I'm just not gonna play this. So okay, but talk to me. What did you think of the documentary? Which was it was a documentary, but then there was also like a story going in there to kind of drive the point home.
That's the second documentary that I have seen in the past month or so that did that. I watched a documentary on Amazon Prime or Hulu or Disney Plus or HBO Max
or Peacock, Quibi.
I believe it was Hulu. Now that I think about it, it was the John DeLorean story.
Okay, interesting.
About the auto manufacturer. Well, he was an auto executive who decided to go out on his own and create his own car to compete with big Detroit, and got caught up in some drug deals. Anyway, but Alec Baldwin is playing John DeLorean in certain scenes. but he's also being interviewed about what his thoughts about John DeLorean are in the middle of a documentary about John DeLorean.
So he is playing John DeLorean, but is also commenting as Alec Baldwin on John DeLorean. That's very
yes. So meta. Okay, so Social Dilemma really is what was it, about an hour and 45? It wasn't particularly long.
An hour and a half. Longer.
I like the fact that they didn't try to drag it into a 4-part, docu-series, if you would. I found, the gist of this is basically that human beings are woefully unprepared for the physical effects of social media as social media, all the various forms. And they talk about Facebook, they talk Instagram, WhatsApp, Pinterest,
Twitter,
TikTok, like all the major, they didn't attack our app, which I think was great because we're still under the radar, which is where we always wanted to be.
Always.
But it basically is that these apps have been engineered to go after the weaknesses of the human brain to provide that human brain with temporary satisfaction that they will become physiologically addicted to, so that humans stay on these apps more and more and more and more. And I didn't think there was anything in there that I found shocking. That was, holy cow, I had never thought of this or heard about this. But holy cow, was it depressing.
It was. And again, I don't think there was anything too shocking. I think maybe the only thing that was shocking to me was the level of detail that the algorithms really dig down into, and the level of data. And I guess I shouldn't even be surprised on the level of data they keep on all of us, because I watched another show where a woman had requested all of the data that actually I think it was Tinder had on her. And
Tinder?
Yeah. And because Tinder, here's the other thing that a lot of people don't realize, and TikTok is really bad with this, is when you are agreeing to their terms and conditions, you are agreeing to them not only capturing any content you put on TikTok, but they can pull from your Facebook, they can pull from anything else you're doing on your phone. They can copy your clipboard on your phone every 10 seconds in TikTok. But anyway, so this was Tinder. She got her
all the dick pics that I'm putting on my clipboard, TikTok has?
They have them all. But this woman got every bit of info that Tinder had on her. It was 700 pages.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's scary. That is one app.
I know you can download what Facebook has on you, and that's frightening because people are way more... the thing about Tinder is literally a left swipe, right swipe, and then, hey, can I see your titties? Literally, that's pretty much what Tinder should have access to. But the fact that they have access to all your phone activity, think about it. These are all free apps. They got to make money somehow. And what I thought was interesting about the documentary was, I forgot one of the individuals is being interviewed, basically said that the humans aren't the data. The humans aren't the product. It's our ability. It's the algorithm's ability to predict our behavior is the product that these apps are selling to advertisers. So it's not the fact of we know this person is going to be on Facebook for X number of hours. It's the idea of we know just when to put a specific ad into this person's timeline to get them to click on it.
Right.
And we will provide them with certain types of content that will push them towards clicking on the ad when we decide to put that ad on.
Yeah. And they talked a bit about, the 2016 election, and, the point that I think was interesting to drive home is when you look at how, the Russians tried to interfere with the election through manipulating Facebook, they didn't hack Facebook, they used the tools available on Facebook to be able to advertise to people. And I remember, back in 2016, if you were doing Facebook advertising, you used to be able to get very specific with how you could target people. Like if there was a specific page on Facebook that you wanted to, narrow in on, you could literally just select that page and just advertise to people on that page. And that was the things they said, that Pizzagate originated because, they targeted people that followed flat earth pages and followed conspiracy theory pages and things of that nature. And this is, a good comment here. If you aren't paying for a service, then you are the product. And that's exactly the point they make in this documentary. Like if you're using, nothing is free in life. So if this app is quote unquote free to you, you're paying for it somehow, and you are paying for it with a lack of privacy at the end of the day.
Well, hold on a second. Let me challenge you. This podcast we're doing right now is free for our listeners.
It is.
So where's the money?
We are the dumb ones that provide.
I certainly haven't seen a penny.
We are the dumb ones that provide something for free and lose money at the same time.
Yes, that's true. So YouTube is making money on this.
YouTube probably. They've gotten big into the Ron and Brian game. Twitch making a lot of money off of this. But at the end of the day, we're not making any money. But we do it for the love. I think it's important to emphasize that. Do it completely for the love. All right, we'd like a little money. That's why we have you go to Patreon and sign up at ronandbrianpodcast.com. Got some great swag over there. The new hoodie, the organic tote bag, coffee mug. We haven't gotten ours yet. The merch at patreon.com just ignores me when I email them. So
I want a tote bag because I want to go down to Williamsburg. I want to walk around in my tight jeans and my Doc Martens shoes. And I want to snidely walk down the street holding my Americana beer.
I just, when I go to Whole Foods and I get my free range bok choy, I need something reusable to put that into. And that's my organic tote bag is going to come into play.
That is exactly what it's there for, because the thing is, bok choy, you definitely want organic and free range because you don't want your bok choy to have been constricted in its ability to walk across in any direction that it wants.
I've seen the cages that they've put bok choy in, and it's horrible. A little tear comes down my eye.
They pack them into such a small area that it's common for a bok choy to not actually be able to move in any direction. It just has to sit there.
So speaking of docuseries, I also started to watch the docuseries on the Challenger.
No. Do not ruin it for me. I have not watched it yet. I plan on watching it this weekend. Do not spoil. No spoilers. I don't want to know how it ends. I don't. I want the the space program is so important to me. I am such a fan of the space shuttle. Few people know this about me, but when I was in California about, I would say maybe 3 years ago, I visited in Los Angeles. I believe it was the Columbia. I could be wrong, but they've got a genuine space shuttle there. And I forced a couple of people to take pictures of me near them.
Well, but they certainly didn't have a Challenger there.
No, it was not the Challenger, which I thought was odd because that's the one that really caught the attention of America. We were all talking about the Challenger, so don't ruin it for me. But I know it's in the top 10 on Netflix this week.
It's 4 quick episodes, about 40 to 50 minutes each. Again, very depressing.
Now I have a question for you. Yeah. Do they also make it a docudrama? Like there are actors playing the role of the astronauts?
No actors, but you do get an appreciation for how much video they were shooting at the time for all of this.
Really?
Yeah. There is a shit ton of video of all of the astronauts and behind the scenes stuff and things like that. Billy's going to break your heart here. Columbia was the space shuttle that blew up upon reentry back in 2003.
Then
I was actually watching that live.
I which one? The original one?
The 2003. I missed 86. I was in school in between classes.
It's the
2003
Endeavor.
I
I
watched
saw
live.
the. Excuse. Can you please stop talking for a moment?
Are we talking over each other? Because we haven't learned how to not do that.
I saw the space shuttle Endeavor.
There we go.
That's what I saw.
Okay.
All right. Sorry. Where were we?
I'm just saying, again, 4 episodes, good stuff. A little depressing when you find out how much could have been avoided as to what happened with Columbia. But yeah, definitely watch it.
Now, this is not the original one that blew up. This isn't Sally Ride.
Well, Sally Ride didn't blow up, which I was mistaken too. Sally Ride survived her flight. It was Krista McCullough that you're thinking of on the challenge.
No. So who was on the first one that blew up?
Krista McCullough.
No, she was on the second one.
No, she was not.
Get out. Hold on.
Sally Ride survived. I can tell you that much. That's all I can tell you.
So okay, I'm confused now.
Okay.
Who was the first teacher that they put up?
Krista McCullough. Sally Ride was the first female on the space shuttle. Krista
So what was the
McCullough
second
going to be the
space
first-
shuttle that blew up?
That was the Columbia in 2003.
Oh, I had them mixed up. I thought Columbia was the first one.
Anyway, Challenger is about the first shuttle disaster in 1986.
I was home watching TV. I don't know that it exploded when I was actually watching TV at that moment, but I know I have a distinct memory of watching TV while I came. I literally lived a block and a half away from my elementary school. No, junior high school. And I remember sometimes I would go home for lunch. And I remember I went home for lunch that day.
Interesting. Well, it was an 11:38 launch time, so that would make sense. So we were right around your lunchtime.
I'm going to tell you something. Just like my penis, 11:38 lunchtime every day.
All right. So check that out. Brian, question for you. Did you catch Dancing with the Stars on Monday night?
No.
Because we've got wagering going on.
I will not watch any of them until there's like a couple. Maybe I might be able to watch the last episode.
So who do you think?
I'm gonna depend on you to keep me updated as the season goes
follow
through.
up afterwards. Who do you think was the lowest scoring celebrity in this first week?
The very fact that you're going to ask that question implies an assumption on your part that I remember anybody other than Neve Campbell, Carol Baskin, killed her husband, whacked him. That bitch.
That bitch, Carol Baskin.
Football player.
We had Vernon Davis.
Okay, I was going to say Terrell Owens
from the Knicks. Don't forget. AJ.
No. It's going to be one of the shitty reality stars that is not a name.
All right.
That's my bet.
It was actually that bitch, Carol Baskin, coming in at 11 points out of 30, doing a paso doble to Eye of the Tiger, which is part of the reason we can't play the video here because, obviously we don't have the rights to Eye of the Tiger.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Carol Baskin got kicked off?
She didn't get kicked off. So what happens is they do the competition. Everybody gets scored, and then they also factor in the audience vote as well. So we will find out next week. But I can't picture that she will be gone. They will try to keep her on for a few weeks. Charles Oakley, who is both your and my pick to be eliminated first, was right ahead of her with 12 points. So I think
the man has no cartilage in his knee anymore. There's no way he's going to last on that.
So the top two tied at 21 points: Skay Jackson and Justina Machado. No idea who they are.
Who?
Yeah, no idea.
Excuse me?
Right behind them at 20 points, Bachelorette Caitlin Bristow and Nev Schulman. And yes, I know how he pronounces his first name, but it's spelled Nev, so I'm going to say Nev. Monica Aldama at 19 points.
Oh, she was good. She
Real-
really hit it this week.
Real logjam at 18 points. You had Johnny Weir, Jesse Metcalf, AJ McClain, Jeannie Mai, and Ann Haste, surprisingly, coming in on 18 points. Vernon Davis, I thought, underperformed at 17. Nelly, 16 points. And then someone named Chriselle Strauss at 13.
Chriselle Strauss is actually my drama teacher.
What I always think about when I think of reality TV is back, I think it was either the first or second season of American Idol, maybe the second, whenever Sanjaya was on, and Howard Stern got all of his fans to continually vote for Sanjaya and keep him on, even though he was an absolutely horrible performer.
And he stayed on for a while now.
Oh, he was on for a long time. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some shenanigans there to get him off the show.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was some shenanigans on the show to get Howard Stern to type up and talk about the show every week.
Very true. Very true. Brian, speaking of wagering, congratulations to you, my friend, for your first week of NFL.
No. Ron, congratulations to you. I went with two underdogs, and it was not two underdogs. I went with a favorite and an underdog, but you really you took some risky picks last week.
I took two.
We both went 2-0 last week. I took the Bills laying 6.5 against the Jets. They won by 10. And then I took the Washington football team getting 5.5. They ended up winning the whole game 27-17. Week 1, not difficult in my eyes. You validated it by going with the Cardinals, who were getting 7.5, winning the whole game 24-20 over the 49ers of San Francisco. I believe they were unprepared for the air quality in the Bay Area there. And then you knew that the Rams getting points against the Cowboys, Rams winning 2017. We both started off this season, week 1, by going 2-0. Do you think we can do it again?
I feel good about our chances. I feel as we're in the zone yet again, starting up early off. Who do you like this week? I'll let you go first. I'm not afraid.
This week, I watched the Steelers going up against whomever it was they were playing. I do not remember,
Giants,
oh yeah, Steelers played the Giants. I thought they looked good. I think they're going to take the Broncos. Steelers are laying 7. I think they can do this.
All
and
right.
then Minnesota going into Indianapolis, getting 3 points. I like the Vikings. So my two locks of the week this week are the Steelers and the Vikings.
All right,
Ron?
I am really liking the Chiefs after watching the way they handled the Texans in their first game. So the Chiefs go on the road at the Chargers, who struggled to knock off the Bengals in week 1. KC is getting 8.5 points.
No. KC is laying or getting?
They're laying 8.5. I'm sorry.
Got it.
Laying 8.5 points. And then on the Sunday night game, Patriots, Seattle. I mean, Cam Newton looked good his first game, but Russ Wilson looked even better. Seattle laying 3.5. I am taking that as well. Those are your NFL locks of the week. Remember, bet with your head or not over it. Good question from Billy. Did either of you pick the over on the amount of fans of the Chiefs game catching COVID? We did not, but I did see that one of the attendees of the game within 24 hours tested positive for COVID. Now they have 10 additional people in quarantine. So yeah, it's going to be a fun NFL season.
It's a hoax. This whole thing is a hoax. COVID doesn't exist. The antibodies are worthless. This is just a liberal lie.
What do you say about I saw a story today that states that people that wear a mask have a better opportunity of getting immunity against COVID because you might get a lower, a lesser. What am I trying to say? A lesser version.
I at this point, I have no idea what you're trying to say.
So basically, you wear a mask, you don't get as many particles, you don't get a severe case of COVID, you get a mild case of COVID, and that gives you immunity.
I think that's horseshit. I believe that once COVID is in your system, it is your body's defenses that will determine whether you are going to get a mild case or not.
Well, and didn't they also say, wasn't there a study a while back that said those people who got the mild case of COVID, their antibodies did not last as long as those that had a more severe case?
Lost 20 pounds.
I look to you as the expert, as someone with the COVID antibodies.
Well, first off, I am an expert because I do have the COVID antibodies. And I will point out that I posted the most, I would say, would you say that it was the most obnoxiously self-congratulatory post that I have made about having the antibodies this past week?
It's a tough call because you have made a number of self-indulgent antibody posts. You have made a number of self-indulgent antibody statements on this podcast. I've received a number of texts and DMs from you that were very self-congratulatory about your antibodies.
Yes.
I would put that one top 3.
Thank you. I was very proud of it. It was there was a New York Post article about how some scientists had identified some antibodies that could help prevent the virus from getting into the human system. And I literally just screen captured it and I posted it on Instagram and Facebook with just such an over-the-top description congratulating myself for playing a role in this. And my heart was broken when 2 cousins of mine
didn't get the joke?
I felt so bad because everybody, I just feel like anybody that knows me knows that you cannot take me seriously on anything that I try to be serious at. If I'm serious, it's if I'm saying something in a joking manner, it's because I'm trying to be serious. And if I'm saying something in a serious manner, it's because I'm being jocular. This was so over the top that it broke my heart that I had family members that did not realize that I was being sarcastic.
I don't think people realize how much like an onion you are, like just many layers that you have to peel away to really get to the really stinging eye parts behind you.
It's funny you say that because Father O'Malley from my church when I was a kid, he used to take me back to the rectory after mass, and he was just like, "Oh, you're a wee onion. Oh, a wee onion. Let me peel off some of these layers. You need to touch some layers. Let's get these layers off so we can get to the sides of the onion." Oh.
Even though you're Jewish, you were somehow attending church.
I was an Irish Catholic church, and oddly, I always walked away crying. So it was like an onion.
Fair enough. Speaking of COVID, Brian, I know this is going to shock you. It's going to shock our listeners out there. Apparently, Trump officials interfered with the CDC reports on COVID-19.
What?
So as we know, was it 2 or 3 months ago that the Department of Health and Human Services ordered the CDC to start sending information to them and not releasing it direct to the public. Apparently, that's not a great thing because the Trump administration altered some of the information, lowered some numbers, changed things around. Just some really dick moves.
I am shocked that this administration is politicizing this pandemic. I mean, at this point, they've been straight shooters the whole way. Just disappointed at this point that they would try to affect the public dialogue about this pandemic. I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Listen, Trump acknowledged the problem early on.
He did. He did.
And so this is a pivot that we didn't expect.
And Trump, I believe in a tweet that he sent out on Tuesday, commended the quality of my antibodies.
He's big on Brian antibodies.
Trump loves my antibodies.
You are the cure.
He also said that you needed to go out and look for a job, which I thought was just a random personal attack on one unemployed American. Was for the president of the country to point out one person who is looking for work hard, Job Search every day sit there and say, hey, stop taking money from the federal government, your state unemployment. You just need to get a job.
It was a little hurtful. You know what else I saw today? This
What?
will surprise you. Is that apparently back in April, the post office had put together an entire program where they would have delivered face masks to every household in the country, and the White House put a stop to it because they didn't want to panic people.
No.
That is what I read. Now, again, fake lamestream media was putting this out there, but yeah, that was very interesting to see.
Wow, I did not know that. So the
Drink
post
that.
office decided they were going to get involved and send out face masks to everyone.
So the post office put together this entire program that we're like, hey, we go to pretty much everybody's house at least once a week. So
Right.
while we are out, instead, while we're delivering our junk mail and, new fleshlights and thing of that nature, we will also drop off PPE at all of these people's homes.
And the White House said, no, don't do that.
They said that'll panic people.
Which is odd because the White House seems to be doing nothing but panicking people now.
Listen, we should not worry about COVID. We should worry about Joe Biden's America, which is going on right now, despite the fact that Donald Trump is president of the United States.
I love the logic. The logic makes so much sense to me.
Did you watch the town hall he had on ABC the other night?
No, I trusted you would watch it for me.
It was a fucking train wreck. Holy Jesus. But I just remember him calling out Joe Biden for not implementing a national mask mandate.
No.
Yep.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And then he had this woman who...
How?
I don't know. He had this woman who was asking a question. She's got a lot of medical conditions. She takes a lot of medicine. She was trying to ask about the pre-existing conditions that are covered under Obamacare. And then he tried to talk over her, and she was like, she shushed him. Like, she was like, please stop talking so I can ask my question. And then
Good for her.
he basically like would not answer any questions. Like, he would direct to whatever talking point, which again is a very politician thing to do. But he's literally like George Stephanopoulos actually like fact checked him to his face on the whole Obamacare situation. And then he's like, you keep saying you have a healthcare plan. He's like, we've got it. I've got it. We've got a healthcare plan, and it's fantastic, and it's phenomenal, and it's better like anything anybody has seen. And we'll roll it out after Election Day.
They've had 3.5 years.
Like, well, that was what Stephanopoulos said. He was like, you've had all these years, like, what the hell? And the same thing with the payroll tax. Like, people think they are getting a benefit because they have the option of not having payroll taxes taken out of their pay right now. But at this point, come 2021, you're going to owe it. Like, they're not
You'll
going
have to
away.
double pay. Correct.
Yeah, they're not going away. So now Trump's thing is like, well, if I get reelected, I'll make all that go away. So, like, he's literally like trying to bribe people into voting for him. And then,
Well, wasn't Andrew Yang doing the same thing?
well, Yang was being straightforward. He's like, I will give you all $2,000 a month just to vote for me. Like, he was
Hold on. How can you bash Trump for trying to bribe the people, but Yang's doing the same thing?
Well, I didn't believe it when Andrew Yang said it either. But we clearly have a shit ton of money that we could give the general public if we really wanted to, versus not letting millionaires and billionaires pay taxes, not letting corporations pay tax. The one thing that gets thrown around that just amazes me at times is, and again, I have not fact checked this, so I will say this, but someone made the point that what's his name? Who's the Amazon guy? Jeff Bezos could give every American $105 million each, and he would still have the same amount of money that he did at the beginning of the pandemic.
Okay. The problem with that is that it's not actual money in his pocket, it's his worth. So as the stock of Amazon goes up and down, there goes his money.
Right.
So it's not necessarily that he has this money in the bank. So if he gives away all of his money and then Amazon stock tanks, he has nothing.
But still, it just, as far as putting that in there, it's very interesting.
I would agree with you. That's all I'm trying to say. I mean, the thing is the fact that, like, yes, he's fabulously wealthy. And I think the thing that this generation needs to hold the wealthy accountable to is that they have the means to pay for. I mean, wealth is so concentrated within a few individuals that they do have the ability to spend and buy out of these problems, and yet they're not doing it. So
people saying that you're echoing. I'm trying to figure out what.
I'm definitely echoing. I can hear my echo. Echo. Charlie. Hello. I don't know.
I will just talk here for the last 10, 15 minutes of the show. But
today, I consider myself the luckiest man in all of the podcast world. My partner, Ron, has held my hand and led me to the tops of mountains.
Check your audio settings there. I just sent you a little note on that. See if maybe something got unchecked.
In the middle of the podcast?
Well, I mean, unless you want to echo for the rest of the time.
No, my microphone is the Yeti, and my speakers are my headphones.
No, click on the cam mic, click on the audio, and there's a little thing there that says disable audio processing. Is that check marked?
Yes.
Then it shouldn't be check marked.
Why?
You don't want to disable your audio processing, then you get echoes.
But why would it start in the middle?
I have no idea. I'll open a ticket on that.
This is so unfortunate in the middle of a podcast. It's almost as if the second we started bashing Jeff Bezos, our audio started to have a problem.
Did you uncheck it?
I did. And
is he still echoing out there, folks?
Still echoing. I can hear it. I can hear it. It started in the middle of the podcast.
I have no idea what that would be. Literally, I have no idea why that would be.
I don't know. Ron, I'll let you have the field while I go pour myself a drink.
He's going to pour another Jack and Ginger there. We were speaking about the post office. So thankfully, federal judge in Washington today granted a request from 14 states to temporarily block operational changes within the U.S. Postal Service that have been blamed for a slowdown in mail delivery, saying that President Trump and Postmaster General Louis DeJoy are, quote, involved in a politically motivated attack on the agency that could disrupt the 2020 election. Again, this is Stanley Bastian, chief judge of the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Washington, said the policies put in place by DeJoy will likely slow down delivery of ballots this fall, creating a substantial possibility that voters will be disenfranchised and the states may not be able to effectively, timely, accurately determine election outcomes. We are, a little less than 50 days from the election, shaping up to be quite the tremendous shit show on election night. I know Pennsylvania is one of the states that will be sending out ballots shortly. Have you heard of this red mirage that a lot of people are predicting, Brian?
What's a red mirage?
So basically, what people are anticipating is that since this pandemic has been very polarizing politically, that you will have a lot of Republican people that go out to vote in person, whereas a lot of people that are on the Democratic side will be voting via mail and absentee ballot and whatnot. And so on Election Day, it will appear that Donald Trump is carrying a number of states, but then as these states start to count their mail-in ballots and absentee ballots and things along those lines, you will see Biden start to swing back and take over in certain states and potentially win the presidency. But however, everyone is obviously concerned because Trump has basically announced today that if he doesn't win the election, then the election is rigged. So he is clearly going to contest this regardless. Joe Biden is putting together a law team to be ready to combat this, but it's going to be even more of a shit show than Bush Gore was in 2000.
I'm going to let you take the floor. I'm going to exit out of this, and I'm going to come back in.
All right. You give it a try, see what happens. That's a little frightening. But it is what I said earlier in the podcast. Perhaps we just need to get rid of Brian, and we will just go with the Ron podcast here. Something else President Trump did today. This is the anniversary of the U.S. Constitution, and he announced that he is going to be putting together a federal 1776 commission to promote patriotic education. Let's bring Brian back. Any bit better, Brian.
I'm going to say something. I care so much about patriotic education.
You do. Are you echoing? Or
love it.
Better now.
It sounds fine to me right now.
Okay. So basically, you fucked us again.
Listen. It wouldn't be the first time. Listen. Last weekend during the Patreon, you fucked me by deciding you were going to play Sir Mix-a-Lot of all things.
Listen, I will fight anyone who says put him on the glass.
I forgot. I got a call from the Queens County, New York Board of Elections. They want me as a poll worker this year on Election Day.
That's awesome. Will you?
Do you know what a shit show that's going to be?
Will you go live on Instagram?
Oh, I don't think I can. I don't think make you put your phone away. Maybe, you know what I should do? I should get one of those like wearable cameras.
Yep.
Fucking hell.
Is Rob available to help the show? It's a good question. Good question, Billy. We'll have to.
That's good. That's good. But I will absolutely. I'm going to be putting in for the day off tomorrow. I am going to be part of Election Day 2020. Shit's going to pop off in Queens. I'm hoping I get a bad area.
I hope you do as well. I think it'll be entertaining, regardless.
Absolutely. Imagine me sitting there trying to explain to a Jamaican woman, like, you know, she needs to go in like an 80. I just visualize like an 85-year-old Jamaican woman who's just confused to begin with, not understanding me as I say to her, no, you need to stand on this line, not that line. Maybe they give me some kind of like colored vest.
Like a safety orange vest, perhaps?
Yes.
Yeah.
I could show up.
Yes.
So do you think if I showed up in all blue that they would make me leave?
It's hard to say. It's very possible. I'm sure they have specific guidelines.
What if I wear my American flag shirt that I wear every July 4th?
The one with the eagle and the wolf?
Oh. Listen, I'm going to tell you something, man. When I put that shirt on and I feel that eagle up against my chest, freedom. I feel freedom.
So I was telling the story about this whole 1776 commission that Trump was saying he's going to sign an executive order for so that we can start indoctrinating our Hitler youth here in the country. Also bashing the 1619 project. Brian, you had some thoughts on that when we discussed this earlier. I'd like to hear your take on it.
My take is this, is that we have an education system right now that has historically taught the youth of America about how great America is and only putting our best foot forward. And anything that is an inconvenient truth, anything that is not necessarily the best light for America, we have, pardon the phrase, whitewashed over. I think that there has been a movement to sit there and only highlight what we have done wrong. And what I was trying to say to you is that somewhere between 1619 and 1776, somewhere near, I'm going to say maybe like a 1700 movement.
Okay.
Is the truth. Because we've done some good things, we've done some bad things, and somewhere in the middle, I'm going to call it 1700. Back of the napkin guess.
Give or take.
Somewhere around there is what America actually is.
So do you feel the 1776 Commission might be a little racist and Nazi-esque?
I think the 1776 Commission is something that will not even get off the ground because I think Trump will be voted out in November. I believe that this is a ploy on his part to gain popularity amongst white people who feel somewhat alienated by the Black Lives Matter movement.
It's all I can say is election day is going to be very interesting because I'm really not sure where we are as a country. I mean, I kind of am sure where we are as a country. And that's, right. I think my problem is, they've talked about this on 538.com. They've talked about this, in a lot of
Enough with the numbers. Enough with the numbers, Ron. 1619, 1776, 538, 69.
I'm going to throw some numbers at you. So if Joe Biden wins the popular vote, wins the vote by 1 to 2%, he only has a 4% chance of winning the election. If he wins by 3% or more, it goes up. But you really don't get into a comfort range until you get him winning the popular vote by like 6%. But this to me is like what is upsetting about our country is that it's potentially going to be that close. That there are enough people in this country that are still buying the snake oil that Trump is selling.
But they're not buying the snake oil. I disagree with you. He is a representative of those people. Those people are Americans. They have just as much of a right to determine the future of this country as you or I.
Listen, I
will talk right over you. You
please talk, bitch.
You have a right to have an opinion on these people. You have a right to sit there and say they are uneducated, that their voice is less educated to you.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that if every American were to vote and Donald Trump wins, then by gone it, he's got 4 more years to run this country.
Right.
My problem is the fact that you've got a Republican Party that has been in power in certain areas for 60 years that has taken a strategy of how can we get as few people to vote that are not going to vote for us, that have been doing everything they can within their power to stop the vote, and then want to turn around and want to legitimize the vote that they therefore win afterwards. That's the part that I have a hard problem with, that they are gerrymandering, that they are creating hurdles such as state IDs and national IDs. And what was some other shenanigans that came up over the past?
So like, for example, in Florida, for example, during the 2018 election, the voters of Florida passed a law that stated that felons would be given the right to vote. And then the Republicans managed to get it put into effect that felons can only vote if they pay off certain fees that they owe, which most of them are not in a situation to do. So you've got voter suppression. I mean, obviously we're great.
That's the word I'm going for. Voter suppression. The Republican Party is literally based on a foundation of suppressing a vote. That makes any win that they get illegitimate in my eyes. And the only way that they can.
I don't disagree with you. My point more being is when I look at where we are at as a country, forgetting how broken the GOP is, forgetting how broken the political system in general is, the fact that seeing where we are at 4 years later under a Donald Trump presidency, seeing the results of the pandemic, the downfall of the economy, the migrant workers, we didn't even get into this whistleblower talking about all of the forced hysterectomies.
Let's do it for the Patreon. Save it for the Patreon. If there's anything that was made for the Patreon, it's forced hysterectomies.
Kids,
we're going to get dirty.
Trump knew about COVID in February, played it down. The nepotism, the quid pro quo, the impeachment, everything else. I mean, and again, you and I have been around for a while, and we've seen how politicians have been taken down by just one scandal in their career. And
not in the current climate. It's different.
One scandal per week. And someone made a good point is that, the people that support Donald Trump don't support him because they think he cares about him or that they're going to make their lives better. They like him because he makes the lives worse for people that they don't like.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that is Donald Trump. That is his entire administration. That is his level of popularity, is that he is willing to sit there and say, well, he won't say it because he has the balls, but he will get up there and say, I will do everything I can to make the lives of Black people and minorities uncomfortable in America. And that makes poor white people rush to his defense, even though he has just as much disdain for them as he does for minorities.
And that's what amazes me too. I mean, if you're a Black person or a Latino, if you're a woman and you are contemplating voting for Donald Trump, I don't know what to tell you.
I would love to meet one. I would love to interview him. I'd love to interview somebody. I'd love it.
All right. Well, maybe we wrap this one up. We refresh.
I feel like we owe our listeners 5 extra minutes because of because of the audio problem.
Because of what transpired?
Yeah, I feel like we owe them 5 more minutes.
All right.
Is that all right with you?
I mean, listen, I can end it whenever, but I will defer to you.
Can we do one more story that I would like to talk about, which is took place in Indonesia recently? And I'm not, for the most part, a global thinker. I think nationally, I think local.
You are American.
Locals. But Indonesia is onto something. And there was a story this past week that was coming out of Indonesia, which was in East Java. Now, you know me, I love my coffee.
You do.
East Java, at least 8 people who have refused to wear masks during the coronavirus pandemic have been forced as punishment to dig graves for people who died from COVID-19, according to a report from the Jakarta Post. According to a local politician by the name of Sunyonyo, I believe he helped break up the Beatles. There were only 3 available grave diggers at the moment, so he thought that he might as well put these people to work. Indonesia instituted a national law very early on in the pandemic that required masks to be worn, but that policy was threatened in July after East Java saw a spike in cases, and a survey of the region found that 70% of the people in the province weren't wearing masks. So it's one of the most appropriate punishments for people that violate the law. I mean, you want to go back to the video that we showed earlier during This Week in Racism, where it has become an assumption and a tagline and a mantra of American anti-maskers to sit there and say, "Oh, it is a legal law. It's an illegal law. It's an illegal mandate that you can force me to wear a mask," which is just horseshit. Fucking horseshit, because in every state we're required to wear a seatbelt when you get into the front seat of a car.
Right.
Possibly the back seat of a car. I don't know the back seat rules and regulations. I know in the front seat you have to wear you've got to wear a seatbelt, and nobody complains about that anymore. We all just accept it. Even these fucking nut jobs in Arkansas, and I'll call out Arkansas if I have to. I'm willing. I'll take a risk.
Call out Alabama.
I will call out Alabama. Alabama, you have been called out. You are on notice.
All right. No, I like that story. I think let the punishment fit the crime.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you good?
Ron,
can we wrap?
Ron, in closing, what message do you have for our listeners?
Vote early, vote often, vote blue.
You can only vote once.
That's not what I'm hearing. I hear that you can request a ballot.
Yes.
You mail in the ballot.
Yes.
And you can go vote at the polls. And apparently, I'm being told, you were talking about not knowing about vehicles. I am told, regardless of what seat you are in, you will fall asleep.
Fucking hell.
Hashtag vehicular narcolepsy.
I hate when people know me. I hate when people know me.
A skosh too well. A skosh too well. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's get ready for the Patreon, which
Kill this.
9:30. For those Patreon folks, we look forward to seeing you. For everybody else, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. Listen, rate, review, subscribe. Brian, what else you got for us?
If you are a Patreon and you want to watch the After Dark, go log into your Patreon account. We sent out a message earlier today. Matt, our producer, confirmed for me that he created a post on the Patreon and said that, God damn it, said that we are, fucking Billy, I swear to God. Said that, and so we sent out a message. It's got the link, the YouTube link to our private channel. Go if you're not a subscriber and you've enjoyed the past hour and 15, become a Patreon subscriber. It is a way for you to help us cover the costs of this show. The show is not free. The website is not free. We've put a lot of money into merch and not moving. Buy some merch. Go to the shop. Like support us and help us support others. People who have watched this podcast from the beginning know that, we have always, from day one, sat there and tried to put money out. This is not an accumulation of wealth. We're not Jeff Bezos. We're not Elon Musk. We are philanthropists, right?
Full-on rapists? What?
Go to our Patreon if you haven't already. Show some support. As little as $5 a month. You'll get some swag. It shows support, and it helps us continue to do this.
All right. I'm going to cut you off because you're rambling a little bit, and we're losing people. I'm watching the numbers go down right here in the upper corner of my screen. But again, thank you all for joining us. Brian, I'll see you on the Patreon in a few.